Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. It's 3 o'clock. It's March 27, 2025. And on the phone we have present is Brock White, and then we're absent Joe Riddle, Byron Richard, Sue Larson, and Michael LeMay, but he's resigned from the board, right?
Right, and I just wanted to take a moment to give you an update on Mr. LeMay, who resigned. He resigned last week, and I found out today that he's in hospice. So I just wanted to let people know that. And Chairman Franchuk, I think maybe if people want to take a moment of silence or silent prayer or something for Mr. LeMay, they just want to take a moment before we go on with our business.
Okay, yeah, he said in his letter resigning from the board, so. Okay, with that also, Byron Richard is asked too if we could find a replacement for him too, so we actually have 2 openings on the board right now, so. We'll look if anybody's got anybody that's interested in applying for those positions, like to. And also we have one more board member present, is Joe Riddle's present now, so. Okay, then we have the agenda then. Is there any changes to the agenda or additions or?
I'm not proposing, Chairman Franchuk, I'm not proposing any.
Okay, then we have the minutes from January 2nd, 2025 meeting. Is there any corrections to those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve the minutes from the January 2nd meeting.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay. First item on our agenda today is a public hearing for RZ 0125 for Jared and Cassidy Herning are requesting a rezoning from ag to ag residential for property located in the south one half of the northeast 1/4 of section 24, township 140 north, range 95 west, containing approximately 12.64 acres. Are the Hernings here, or okay, you just step up to the podium and just state what the plan is there and what the request is.
Hi, my name is Steve Rude. I'm with Dakota Land Consulting, working with the Hernings on this. Basically, they want to build a house on the Cassidy's. I guess her granddad had the place. Now her dad and brother and stuff own the place, and they just want to get 12 acres and build their own homestead on the place now. It's on an area that it was previously homesteaded. There's a couple old foundations there. There's still a barn there and whatnot, and they just want to, kind of revitalize it with a new residential use on this about 12.6 acres. It's kind of designed to take in the existing tree row and yet still make a nice rectangular lot.
Okay, does the board have any questions?
All right.
If not, okay, thank you. Coming up to open up the public hearing then, is there anybody that wants to speak for or against this request for rezoning? Anyone who want to have any comments for or against this request? Anyone have any comments for or against this request from ag to ag residential rezoning? Hearing no comment, I'm going to close the public hearing then. Your recommendations, Mr. Joseph?
Thank you, Chairman Franchuk, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Steve Josephson, County Planner. You heard the request to rezone this 12.64 acre site from agriculture, which is normally 40 acres, down to I'm sorry. I thought I had it on. Sorry about that, Chairman Franchuk, Commissioner Steve Josephson, County Planner. You heard this is a request to rezone a piece of property from agriculture, which is normally 40 acres, to agriculture residential, which is a minimum lot size of 10 acres. Staff does recommend approval. I did want to put something on the record, and I'll try and make it brief. It's in the staff recommendation is with our comprehensive plan that got adopted last year, it identified a future land use category, which was the prime agricultural land use category. And the idea was to preserve areas that are prime agricultural. I mean, agriculture is an important activity in this county. We have some flexibility in there. The recommended lot size for prime agricultural is 40 acres. The staff finds it in this case, because this had been previously developed with a homestead, that, you know, that rezoning this and allowing for another a replacement residential structure on here meets what was previously on that property. It's been previously developed. I just wanted to state that in the future, if anybody looks at trying to rezone and subdivide properties within the immediate vicinity, which are in this future land use category, they will need to come in and ask for a future land use map amendment and prove that the soils out in that area are not 50% of either prime farmland or farmland of statewide importance as indicated by the USDA. I just wanted to put that on the record. I know, speaking to the applicant's representative, that's not the intent of the family out there to do that, but I just wanted to put that on the record for any future, any people who look at this area for future, for potential future development. And I'm here to answer it. As I said, staff recommends approval based on the findings in the staff report, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Joseph? Hearing none, then I'll look for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that to approve this request. I don't have the proper terminology in front of me. Thank you.
I'd second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Not, then we go roll call vote then. Commissioner Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner Oderman,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddle,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye, motion carried. We'll move on to the second item on our agenda then, is a public hearing for MSP 02-25 for Jared and Cassidy Herning are requesting approval of minor subdivision plat of the J&S Herning Homestead subdivision located in the south one half of the northeast quarter of section 24, township 140 north, range 95 west, containing approximately 12.64 acres. This is the same property there, so I'm just gonna open up the public hearing, and if there's anybody that has any comments for or against this request for a minor subdivision plat. Anyone have any comment for or against this? Anyone have any comment for or against the request for a minor subdivision plat? Hearing none, I'm gonna close the public hearing then. Mr. Joseph, your recommendations?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Franchuk. Commissioners, this is the request for a minor subdivision plat of the J&C Herning Homestead subdivision. You just heard the request for the previous rezoning request. The lot is, the proposed plat it meets the minimum lot size requirements for the AR zoning district, and it meets the requirements for minor subdivision plat as found in the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval, subject to the findings in the staff report, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? If there's no questions, then I look for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve MSP 0225 application from Jared and Cassidy Herning for the J&C Herning Homestead subdivision.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? Not, then roll call. Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddle,
Aye.
Commissioner Oderman,
Aye.
Commissioner Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye, motion carried. Okay, next we'll go to the public hearing for MSP 0325 for Clyde and Judy Flyberg are requesting approval of minor subdivision plat for the Flyberg subdivision located in the west one half of the southwest quarter of section 36, township 139 north, range 96 west, containing approximately 20 acres. Is there someone here representing them, or?
Commissioner, or Chairman Franchuk, and Commissioners Curtis Freeman with KOJ representing the Flybergs. What they're looking to do is just to take 5 acres off the north side of their property, split it so that they can, a family member can build a home there, so.
Okay.
They are going to, build that road along the west side. They're gonna continue the driveway north, per county standards. And they've already got a person ready to build that to county standards, so, for a second approach.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Actually, I have a question. I have a question just to talk about the roadway. So have the applicants been in touch with the road department about what the requirements would be for developing that road?
Yes, they've already talked to the road department. They've visited with Al, and I'm not sure if they visited with Todd yet or not, but, yep.
Okay, good. Any other questions? Not, then I'm gonna open the public hearing on then. Does anybody have any comment for or against this request for minor subdivision plat for the Flyberg subdivision? Anybody have any comment for or against this request? Anyone have any comment for or against this request for minor subdivision plat? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Josephson, your recommendations.
Thank you, Chairman Franchuk, Commissioner Steve Josephson, County Planner. And actually, Ms. Freiberg has been in touch with me, oh gosh, was it like a year ago or so? It's been a while. So they've been wanting to do this. So if this plat is approved, they're gonna create, they already have the zoning in place. It's already zoned residential agriculture from the previous code. And there's a structure, there's already residents there. So they want to create a 15-acre lot and then a 5-acre lot for a family member to live on. The staff finds that this meets the requirements in the zoning ordinance for minor subdivision plat and is not unlike development within that area. So staff recommends approval, subject to the findings in the staff report. It's also near the extraterritorial zone, so having smaller lots like this is not inconsistent with anticipated future development. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? No questions, I look for a motion then on this matter.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve MSP 0325, application from Clyde and Judy Flyberg, creating the Flyberg subdivision.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? Not roll call then. Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Oderman,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddle,
Aye.
Commissioner Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
and chair votes aye, motion carried. Okay, next item is a public hearing for CUP 0122. A public hearing is to consider the revocation of a conditional use permit allowing a banquet hall, reception hall on approximately 39.96 acres property legally described as a tract in the southwest quarter of Section 4, Township 140 North, Range 97 West, with an address of 11771 31st Street Southwest.
Chairman Franchuk, I just wanted to ask if we could take, I don't have my phone with me, so I can't see any computer messages or whatever. If we can just take a 5-minute recess to see if the property owners are not here.
They're right there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Go ahead. I am so sorry. Then no recess. Thank you.
Okay, just wanted to update your status and the reason you haven't moved forward with some of these conditions.
Yes. So we rezoned in 2022.
I'm sorry, would you please put your name, just state your name for the record?
Brandy Johnson.
Okay.
Sorry.
And get the mic closer too so they can hear you. Thanks.
Can you hear me now?
I think it's
Better?
better, yeah.
Better? So we rezoned in 2022, and then we got a conditional use permit issued in May of '22. At the time, we had talked about getting a liquor license along with the venue, which then entailed getting, a fire marshal to come out, all these things. And after the fire marshal had came out, Kaylin Lucas, she gave us a list of things that we would have to do. Number one was being a sprinkler system. I checked into those, and they're about 150,000. So we were like, no, we're not gonna do liquor license. It's just gonna be an event space that we rent out, no liquor license. If any potential guests would come, it would be on, like, they could provide their own beverage. They would have food catered from outside, no kitchen, no serving food or alcohol, whatever. So I was probably mistaken. I didn't think that I would have to do anything else with this since I kind of changed that plan and not getting a liquor license. So anyway, regardless, I didn't hear from Steve from the time we got our CUP until 2024. I've heard nothing from anybody, and I just been doing my thing, to tell you the truth. In 2024, I had a couple that was kind of interested in renting the barn, but they were actually not wanting to like provide their own beverage to their guests. And I said, well, I know you can reach out to like local bars, like say the Eagles or Esquire, or I don't know if they have a liquor license. I believe you can get a special permit liquor license through the county. You could come out, probably set it up that way under them. So in the spring of 2024, the I Don't Know Bar, Caitlin, I can't think of her last name, came to the county and tried to get a special permit liquor license. That's what I believe jarred Mr. Josephson's memory. And then we got an email from him saying that it had recently been brought to his attention that we were operating and that we had all these things that we had to do yet. So he gave us a list of things that he wanted, like a code analysis. So we did get a hold of Jared Toogood with GT Architect in April of 2024. He didn't come out till, they were pretty busy. He didn't come out to our place until June of 2024. And then him and, who was it, his brother? Him and, I don't know what his brother's name was. Anyway, they were out there and did all their measurements and said they would let us know when they were done with the code analysis. And the code analysis took until, actually, we just got that on February 4th. They just finished it of this year. We didn't call and bug them. I just figured we paid them for this $3,500 code analysis. They'll let us know when it's done. And we started getting numerous phone calls from GT Architect. They're like, we are apologizing. We have not gotten this done. I said, well, I'm not worried about it. You'll get it when you're ready. And they said that Steve had been calling and emailing them, wondering where it was. And so I said, well, I guess when it's done, we'll get it to him. Then I ran into Steve around Christmas time in Bismarck. And then in January, late January, I got another message from Jared at GT Architect, and he said, I am so sorry for the delay. This should be done in a couple weeks. Steve's been calling us and emailing us again, and I said, okay. So they did get us the code analysis. I have it here. I also have another one that I could email to you guys that has the actual like floor plan. So in the meantime, we got notified that we're gonna do this revoke the CUP, and we got a list of things from Steve that Mr. Blaine Dukart, would like to see happen. So the list that Blaine gave us was, he wanted the code analysis, but with the furniture layout. So we've done that. He wanted a restroom plan. We gave him that. The ADA compliance checklist, we gave Blaine that. We applied for the building permit. I was finally able to get a hold of the fire marshal. I've been working on her for probably 3 to 4 weeks. I finally got a hold of her, and she will be coming out on April 9th at 9 a.m. to reassess, because we are not going to use the upper level. we're gonna use just the lower level. The upper level will be storage only. That brings that occupant load below 99 by just using the lower level in the outside area. With the barn not being heated or cooled, it gets really hot upstairs anyway, and it's seasonal. It's May through September, and it's hot up there in the summer, so nobody really likes to be up there anyway. So it's just gonna be storage up there. So fire marshal is coming out, and then Blaine said to call. He gave me a name of a guy, Derek Roast with CW Engineering, or structural engineer in Bismarck. I contacted Mr. Roast, and he didn't really chew my rear end, but kind of. He's like, I hate it when the city and the county have you guys call because you're the middle guy then. He says, I need to know what is it they want from me to come out to do the structural analysis on it. So I talked to Blaine about it. Blaine said he would call and talk to Derek and let him know what it is, because Derek said it's really not a snow load that you're looking for because it's seasonal. And if you're not gonna have anybody upstairs, so he needs to know before he comes out. And, we spend money on him to come out what it is that the county or the city wants as far as structural on the building. So Blaine was going to talk to him about that, and I haven't heard back from Blaine yet either, and that's been about 10 days ago. So that's where we're at.
I guess the biggest thing is we got, there's, the part of, one of the conditions was that you needed a certificate of occupancy before you could even operate, and we have never gotten that, so.
Okay.
When are you gonna get that taken care of?
That is.
That needs to be done though before
code
you can have.
analysis?
Do you have other events scheduled, or?
No, the code analysis would be, isn't that what GT Architect would have done, was the code analysis?
Will it be
That's
part
part
of
of the
the process
So
to
then
get
part of
that?
it would be building permit then?
You'd have to get all that taken care of and to get the certificate of occupancy so you could actually have events in there.
Okay. Okay, so that's part of it. All of it's part of it then.
Do you have something scheduled coming up or not?
No, I don't have anything scheduled coming.
So you've had events then in the past?
We've had some family events out there but we don't have anything like we're having,
Your plan is though to get this all taken care of so you can get the
Yes.
certificate of occupancy though, right?
Yep, and like I said, the list that Blaine needed, so you tell me, is this part of this? Because I don't know all of this. Building permit, ADA compliance, restroom, code analysis with the furniture, so he has that. He has the restroom plan, the ADA compliance checklist, the building permit's been submitted. We're waiting on, Miss Lucas, the fire marshal, for April 9th, and then what the structural engineer wants to do as far as getting it structurally analyzed.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes.
make a suggestion that we bring Blaine up and kind of, so there's no confusion on your part, give you kind of a linear, hear it right from Blaine, a linear path to getting the certificate of occupancy, so you know exactly.
Okay.
Because I think there's some confusion. It's not just one piece. It's got to be, there's a kind of a list of things that
Okay.
you're going to need to get together
All
before
right.
you actually get that stamp of approval. So I think it would be helpful if Blaine would maybe just, if you
Is
would do
Blaine
that,
here?
Blaine.
Yes, he is. He's right behind you.
Are you Blaine?
Yes.
Oh, hi, Blaine.
Okay, if you could step, Mr. Dukart, you could step up and explain what they need to get done here then.
Am I in your way?
You could give him the podium so everybody can hear then.
Yeah.
Wanna hang out with me?
Hate to put you on the spot, Blaine, but I thought, I mean, if you're the expert here, just give us a linear path to how we're going to get here.
Chairman Franchuk and P&Z Commissioners, I'm Blaine Dukart representing the City of Dickinson Building Department and Stark County. We permit both, so everything's consistent. So to clarify this, the CO is required to do any type of public venue or anything, and obviously that was the number one thing that was requested on your conditional use permit. In order to get that CO, this checklist was given to them, and they do have several of the items that were required. The one thing that they don't have is the structural engineer's review on it. And the fire marshal, she had mentioned that they were coming out, but the structural engineer's review, we're not structural engineers at the building department, and that's required because this is a change of use. So this was an ag building designed for ag purpose, and now it became a different use, which is assembly use. And assembly has to deal with the public, so in order for us to do a plan review, we need all this information to do the plan review, and then once the plan review is done, just like on any house or any commercial building or anything, then we go out and we issue a building permit, then we go out and do an inspection. So without the information, we can't do a plan review, we can't issue a permit, thus we can't do an inspection, and we can't give a certificate of occupancy.
So there's, how many pieces are missing to get to the plan?
The fire marshal, and that's on the way, but the structural engineer's review is the only piece missing.
Okay, so,
And that's probably the most important, because it's a safety thing,
okay.
and public's involved, so
Do we have?
that's our concern.
And timing on that plan review?
I did talk to Derek. I assumed that he had called them back since they contacted him, but I talked to him the same day that I talked to the Johnsons, and he had indicated that Monday, which would have been this Monday, he was going to talk to his actual boss and partner, and they would discuss how they're going to approach this. So I haven't heard from him either.
So, just for information purposes, plan review, what are we looking for here? They're looking for ADA compliance, what, right?
Yes, we go through all the information, but mainly the structural engineers review and GT architects review, because there's some things on there for egress and whatever that they require. And if those aren't met, then we can't give a CO. They have to make those corrections or necessary doorway swings, et cetera.
Right, and if I may add, Blaine, Mr. Dukart, commissioners, I provided that information to you, and then we got the revised code review with the seating for the lower section, and that you should have that also. So those portions of it, are completed. One thing I will add, I had a discussion with Mr. Dukart about this, is the review of a commercial building versus one that hasn't been built yet, and one that already is in existence, and it's a little bit different. What would you say, Mr. Dukart, that there are fewer things that are required for an existing building? I don't want to say that there are few, but I know like they don't have to do an engineered site plan as part of it. So am I correct about that?
Well, the engineering is for the structure itself. On a new building, it would be engineered into it.
Okay,
So the plans would already be included. So we don't know what this structure entails. We've never been to the property, and we don't generally go out to a property unless we have a permit in place.
and hence why the structural review is needed.
So the structural review will give us an idea of additional modifications that are gonna need to be made.
If required, and mainly for the framing of the building, that it's not gonna fall down. Obviously, it's probably not gonna fall down, but like I said, we're not engineers, so we can't really
And then
design or develop that.
the next step is the fire marshal. And, that's a little bit of a wild card, the way it sounds. We not quite, I mean, you
And
think
there
of-
may be some requirements there also. So the code review for the seating egress from GT, structural, and fire marshal, there might be a few things from each one of them that are required. And then once those are completed, then we go out and do an inspection.
Okay,
Any questions from
Any other
commissioners?
questions?
thank you.
I've got a quick question. And maybe it's not quick, maybe it's a can of worms that we don't want to open. But what is it about the liquor license that triggers the fire suppression?
It's, actually, I don't know if it was a liquor license. I don't know that part of the
Okay.
Engineering, but anytime there's at 100 seating or 100 occupancy
Okay.
or more, that's
Okay.
what,
That's what triggered it.
yeah,
Okay.
that's what
Okay.
triggered it.
All right.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Dukart, or?
Okay.
Okay.
I hope that was helpful for you. Just want to get you on the right path here, make sure you're not, yeah.
And it boils down to, until we get a certificate of occupancy, you're gonna, you can't have any events out there until you get that done. I mean, we can probably suspend the the revocation here until you comply with her, but you need to get that before you can have any other events out there.
I will touch base. I'll call, Mr. Derek, is it Roth? Roth? Yeah, I'll call him tomorrow and see if him and his partner figured out how they want to proceed and see when they can get them here.
This particular individual that you just referenced, that's the folks for the structural review?
Structural engineer, correct?
Okay.
So that's basically
CW
next step.
engineering out of Bismarck.
Okay.
So you've made contact there, you've made contact with the fire marshal.
Fire marshal's coming on April 9th at 9 a.m.
So I just would like to, so you're gonna get their findings are gonna tell you what you need to do next, right? And it could be additional costs, and the fire marshal might come up with some grand ideas too that may be significant costs as well. So those are things that you guys are gonna have to decide whether or not you wanna go forward with it,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Y-
So the
yay
price
or
of
nay,
that is,
yeah.
if everybody in Dickinson got married there, we'd probably put it in.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna happen,
Yeah,
okay?
Nobody wants to do
In a
that.
nutshell, the events are proposed to be generally outside. So the interior of the barn is generally where they serve food if it's windy. But the events usually happen outside. So that's where we're at. And, we're kind of in a bind where we don't want to invest a lot of money into something that doesn't create any money.
sure.
So right now,
Is there any confidence that we can get the plan review done and the fire marshal out there in the next month?
I think so.
yeah,
I mean, I know the fire marshal's coming. Yeah, I guess I don't know what their schedule's like, so.
I guess we'd probably look to table this for 60 days or something.
That was gonna be my
to
question,
the next
Mr.
or
Chair. Is
second
there, do we have the ability to table?
We can, yes.
let me make a suggestion, I'm sorry.
Commissioners, do you want to have the public hearing for portion of this first to see if there are any comments? Well, let me explain why, because if you have the public hearing portion of it first, and then you close the public hearing, then we don't have to go through the whole renotice process for it. So it might be worth it to see if there's anybody who has any comments on this first, and then if you table this for 60 days, then all we have to do is just schedule it for planning and zoning in 60 days and not have to re-advertise for it. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, I'll do that then. I'm gonna open the public hearing. Is there anybody else, any comments for or against this revocation of a conditional use permit? Anybody from the public have any comment? Anybody from the public have any comment on this issue? Hearing none, I close the public hearing then.
And you can skip my comments today.
Okay.
Why don't you just go, my suggestion is that you just go straight to discussion.
Okay, I guess we look, what was our, not the next meeting is there, but what's the following meeting, what date is that? I don't have my
You would ask
calendar.
me, and I don't have my calendar on me, but that would be near the end of June?
Yeah, at the end of
Well-
June, then would you be able to come back by then and have it, decide what you're gonna do then, or move forward with it?
When we meet in May?
No, that's 1 month. May 1st is,
May 1st is our next meeting, and then there's
oh,
one.
I'm
at the-
sorry, so it would be towards the end of May, rather.
Well, I would,
Yeah, let's just do 30 days. I mean, I don't see no reason why we can't get someone there in 30 days.
Why not build in, I think Commissioner Freilic's suggestion and Commissioner Franchuk's, or the suggestion for 60 days, well, I guess that's up to y'all.
If you get everything in before that, then, we move forward with that before then, but it would give you 60 days to make sure you get this taken care of, because, like you said, you can't have any events out there till you get this certificate of occupancy.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and
you
let me
guys are-
remind you, the plan review that GT Architecture did, it took longer than you thought, because sometimes you can run into issues, so.
so explain, okay, when's our next regular meeting?
Our next regular meeting would be May 1st. That's in 30 days.
Yeah,
And then,
And then the next one would be May 29th.
and I don't
Yeah,
understand why.
May
we would-
29th sounds fine to me.
Okay, I look for a motion then to table this till their May 29th meeting, I guess is what I like.
I would so move that we table this public hearing for consideration of revocation on CUP 01-22 to May 29th.
And Commissioner Freilich, if you can just remove the public hearing part of it, so we're
I'll
good.
remove that then. Thank you. Simple.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I don't, if this is if this has already been granted, and this is just a consideration to revoke it, why do we even have to table it? Why wouldn't it just like die with a lack of a motion?
It was already approved because the CUP was already approved a few years ago. So then if you.
But
read
why
the
do we, but if it's been approved,
Conditional.
why, conditionally,
Conditional
okay.
use permit
Okay.
was approved.
Okay.
In 2022, and
Yeah,
there are two things. First of all, the code allows the Planning and Zoning Commission to do this, and then we put another condition in about bringing it to County Commission. So
but is there an expiration on that conditional use permit?
not if,
Well, I mean, I think a reasonable amount of time. I mean, I think we're in that realm of
Okay.
reasonable amount of time, I think. So I guess I would have a question here. We're in the discussion period here. So is the idea here is to by the May 27th? Is that what?
May 29th, I
May
believe.
29th meeting, are we to expect that we'll have a CU or a CO, certificate of occupancy?
let's ask the building department about that.
That's the goal.
Blaine, could you please come up to the microphone, Mr. Dukart?
Agreed. If everything were to go
If
the way
all
it's
the
supposed to
information
go.
got to us, it takes another several days for the plan review, so the departments can look at it, and then we can do an inspection once the permit's issued.
Okay, so
So,
2-month period possibly.
Theoretically, it could definitely happen if the structural review came back and gave us some time.
Another factor is whatever is found is gonna have to be fixed
Corrected,
or installed
absolutely.
and everything before you actually put the stamp on it, right? So, it's gonna probably be tight for 2 months, but, I mean, so the expectation is for you to come back on May 29th with the seal, right? That's the plan.
Okay, we'll see what the structural engineer
Yeah.
says.
Yeah, but we're just trying to get you so
No, I
everybody kinda
understand.
understands what we're
There's a
trying
lot
to aim
more
for
to
here.
this than I thought there
Yeah,
would be.
yeah.
so.
And I
It is a
guess the
little bit-
nature of my question is, like, if we table it and all those conditions are met, there's really no reason for us to talk about this again. I think that's the point I'm making is like,
Well, I guess
if the
if-
conditions of the conditional use permit are met by May 29th,
But if
why
the-
would we
if-
take this off the table?
If they're not met, then we would revoke on May 29th,
So
probably.
wouldn't we just add it to the agenda to that May 29th meeting then though?
Yeah, it would be on the agenda.
Yeah, by tabling it, Commissioner Oderman, in my eyes, I see that this is going to come back on May 29th on the agenda for approval or disapproval of the way it's written today.
But I guess what I'm saying is like, May 29th, if they meet the conditions of the conditional use permit, what are we approving?
We, in my opinion, Mr. Oderman, it would be we're just going to strike this number 5 on this agenda because
Okay.
they would have met all of those conditions.
We're tabling the revocation hearing.
Right.
Okay.
And I would concur. If they've met that, then there's no reason, if the CO has been issued, then there's no reason to bring this up again for action. There's no action to be taken.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
You guys
any
good
other
with that?
discussion?
Okay, thank you, guys.
Okay, so I guess we're roll call then vote, I guess, with Commissioner Freilich,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Riddle,
Aye.
Commissioner Oderman,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Aye.
chair votes aye, motion carried. Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Any other planning items, Mr. Josephson, or? Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioner, Chairman Franchuk, Commissioners. We had a workshop last month, to talk about some proposed zoning code amendments, and at the time, some of them were fairly major, and then there were some of them that, that could probably just be taken care of at a, you know, in a, you know, that were more cleanup or whatever, that could be taken up, you know, at our next meeting. In fact, that was what the, that was what the Planning and Zoning Commission talked about, was considering these in phases. So what I have in front of you today were some of the proposed amendments that I believe, you know, we can take up without, you know, without a lot of work. And then we had members of the Planning and Zoning Commission who were willing to meet and talk about two of the topics, two of the proposed amendments. One was for data centers and the other one was for solar facilities. So I just wanted to go through the ones that I'm proposing we take up at our next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and just make sure that, get some consensus as to whether you wanted me to go ahead and schedule public hearings for them. So, do you not have this? Okay. Okay, so in definitions, we were gonna add definitions of greenhouse, nursery, roadside stand, and then truck gardening. Was proposing to change accessory dwelling units from a conditional use to a permitted one, so that if someone wanted to do accessory dwelling unit, they would just come in, they would just go straight to permitting for that. One of the other things was adding into the agricultural zoning district as a conditional use, golf driving ranges, archery range, miniature golf course, go-kart track or racetrack. The only reason those uses are already in there, but they're in a separate section, but they're not reflected under, you know, under that. So it would just be a cleanup. It would just be internal consistency. And then following a recommendation in the comprehensive plan, we have an estate zoning district that right now is restricted to an area between the extraterritorial zone and the city of Gladstone. And that it would be, that people could ask for it in other parts of the county, in those areas that are designated as residential rural in the comprehensive plan, and then also to add stable as a use, as a conditional use in that zoning district. Then I have another one, and this is clarifying, asking for more information if somebody came in for a banquet hall or reception hall, more information that they would provide as part of their conditional use permit. Let's see. And then after that, wanted to change the section about violations and penalties. And this is following what's in Dunn County's code, where we actually put certain periods of time that staff would notify an applicant of a code violation and give them a reasonable amount of time to comply. And then if they don't, then for every day that they're in violation would be considered a separate violation. And I know Dunn County does this. I believe there are other counties that do this, too. And this is something I've reviewed with the state's attorney. And let's see, and I believe that those are the ones that I'm proposing that we hold a public hearing on at the next available Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I'm just looking for some consensus from the Planning and Zoning Commission if I can go ahead and arrange for public hearing on these items.
I would agree with that. Anybody else have any?
I'm good with it.
I'm fine.
Okay. And then I'll get with, outside the meeting, I'll get with Commissioners Claris and Riddle and White to arrange a time to go over the data center draft language that we had drafted for the county. And that's all I have.
Was there the solar too, or?
We're gonna meet separately on that. That's a rather large section. Some of that is just stuff that would be permit, but for the part that's an actual large facility, I think we need to have our, members of the Planning and Zoning Commission review that. And Commissioners Claris and White have agreed to be involved in that review.
Okay,
And any others who are interested, just as long as we don't have a quorum.
okay. Anything else?
No, that's, I do anticipate that we will have a meeting on May 1st. I know that there is a company that wants a temporary use for a batch plant that'll be applying, and then we may be getting one for a conditional use for an accessory dwelling. Tried to tell them, if you wait a little while, you won't have to do that, but they want to go forward at this time. And that's it.
Okay. There's nothing else. I look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Aye.